We're waiting for the streams to all kick in here.
Idea to make the process more
and from the border of liberty and prosperity and the highway to the north, this is Safety Wars for Thursday, January 25th, 2024. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you enjoyed your day. We had a pretty good day today, but we had some pretty bad news I'll be sharing with you at a later date. And we're going to be discussing that a little bit later on, probably tomorrow. We had a death in the family, and I don't know if all of our relatives were informed, so I'm not going to do the informing here with in front of all of the UK, Canada, and the United States. All right. How's everybody doing out there? Other than that, warmed up today in the Northeast. I didn't have to have 4 layers of clothing on today or yesterday. Since where I was inside or semi-enclosed, we didn't even need a raincoat because it rained the entire day. And my son is out there getting ready for the baseball season, so we had another day of practice today. Daughter's getting ready for some cheer competitions. I never thought I'd be this busy in my entire life. So, like I had mentioned to Jay Allen the other day, I am doing some safety training videos for customers now. So, if you need a safety video done on your procedures, on how you operate do your operation, however you do, whatever, give us a call, 845-269-5772. I tell you what, we're getting, it's high demand for a lot of clients because this is what happens. You hand someone a safety meeting, right? You hand them the safety meeting. You say, okay, go out there and, go and do your thing out there, blah, 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 with the safety meeting. And what ends up happening is they say, they just signed. And is that an effective thing? No, not really. right? Yeah. No, because even if you bring that to court, what often happens, or you show that to a regulator, they're like, okay, great, you had a safety meeting and a sign-in sheet. What do you freaking do? Where's the test and blah, blah, blah. Right? I'm not saying you have to give a test for every safety meeting, but that's going to be it. If you shoot a video, right, because a lot of the supervisors and foremen are not used to giving presentations, now you can send them the video, and guess what? Now they're able to say blah, blah, blah. Okay, now we're going to watch the video. And we have it in writing and in video. And if you're really savvy, and you can go out there and present it yourself, not the video or no, hands-on. That's what we try to do. We try to do hands-on work. So earlier this week on Tuesday, I believe it was, we discussed emergency action plans. So what do you think the safety meeting was on this week for a couple of my clients? Emergency action plans. Why? Well, because out in Chicago, they had a problem with lack of coordination and some other issues out there, and with fighting a fire, and somebody got killed. Firefighter got killed. Same thing with Uvalde, Texas last week. Same thing. Emergency action plans not implemented, no practice or anything else. So guess what? We're going to go through that. So we went through that. Hey, this is what could happen in these situations. Some other news. We are also, just to let you know, and I will be sending you out. I'll be posting on our website and on our social media. We're on a number of different platforms. I sent out invites today on Facebook or Meta, and join us on social media on Facebook, safetywars.com. Also, follow me on my personal page, Jim Polzel, P as in Peter, O E as in Echo, S as in Sam, and L because I love you. All right. Check us out. Also, we're on X, formerly known as Twitter, Twitch.tv, Telegram, LinkedIn, Jim Polzel, YouTube page, Safety Wars and Skylander 52. That's a relic from my political days. We also have we're on Safety Wars on Rumble, on Brighteon, and last night we signed up for Odyssey. That's ODYSEE, Odyssey.com. Why do we have all this stuff? Well, we want to reach more people with the message of safety, right? We're kicking back that old safety order out there. And number one. Number two, a lot of these platforms, I've had videos taken down that were pretty innocuous on some of these platforms. And because why? I appealed them, they put them back up. Why? One video I put on a while back, I don't know if it was on this program, it was, so I said something extremely controversial. What was that controversial saying? That people should go to work and come home and not get hurt or killed at work. Someone took offense to that because there are people out there who don't believe that. Yes, there are. Jim, what do you mean? I would never... Believe me, there are people on your work crew, especially if you're in the construction or shipyard industry or disaster response industry, they have that attitude. And I imagine some areas in general industry. We cover these stories all the time. We're going to cover a couple really real winners today. And let me kick on over to a couple of these stories. And we're going to do... I gotta set them up. We're gonna do a share screen here. Okay. Let's go to our first commercial break while we're setting up. Why have dead time? And this is our message for today and for Thursdays, right? This is our Thursday message. Okay, we're heading on over to the OSHA news releases here. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Now, I'm going to say this. We got here a little bit late on the radio side on Safety FM, so I'm going to say this. Everybody here, no, we're talking about the trade releases and some of the other stuff here. All of these people on here are innocent till proven guilty. These are proposed citations. They often get litigated, negotiated, um, downward, right? So, again, these are not the final product. These are all alleged things, and you could go with it. No, I use a lot of these in training classes. Here we have U.S. Department of Labor investigation of construction workers' fatal injury finds a Stoughton contractor failed to follow required safety procedures. I think we covered this the other day. Basically, a guy got whacked on the head, right, with a bucket. He was working under a bucket, and the contractor was cited for $142,642. They had willful violations here. And okay. Not going to go through all of them, but it's citation one, item one, willful serious. Now, OSHA has a lot to prove here with a general duty clause violation like this is. Now, they cannot write laws on everything or write a regulation on everything. But when an employee gets hurt, right, they will often, especially a fatality, they will do a general duty clause violation if there was nothing, right. No, if there's no law. So, for example, here we have a person who was working underneath a bucket truck, a bobcat, right, which is a small track loader. And what ended up happening was the employee was working under the bucket and got whacked on the head. Killed them. $140,633 in fines. No JHA. The JHA was not filled out properly. Now, I'm going to tell you here with the job hazard analysis, people just pencil whip them. They think it's a joke and everything else. And, it's no, but when there is a problem, that's one of the first things that they ask. Here we have from the same company. The did not provide authorized government representative records within 4 business hours. So basically, this is usually the 300 logs, which you should be filling out now. They did not. No, I don't know what to tell you. They didn't produce them. Very important. A lot of companies feel that it doesn't apply to them because they've been told or have misunderstood the regulation. U.S. Department of Labor investigation finds Ohio food warehouse exposed workers to ergonomic hazards. Now, OSHA found that the company workers had high risk for musculoskeletal disorders because of the high frequency, long duration of hours worked, awkward postures, and weight of materials being lifted, said OSHA Area Director Ken Montgomery in Cincinnati. Work-related musculoskeletal disorders are among the most frequently reported cases of loss or restricted time. So, $41,483 in penalties and issued 4 hazard alert letters. Again, there is no ergonomic standard for under OSHA. There was an almost one in 2001, but it was withdrawn by OSHA. So we have citation item 1, serious, and this was for the general duty clause. What was the ergonomic hazard? On or about July 18, 2023, at times continuing thereafter, the employees were exposed to an ergonomic hazard, which was causing or likely to cause a musculoskeletal disorder (MSD). Employees were required to perform repetitive manual material handling lifting tasks involving forceful exertions and awkward postures during the dry goods selection task, placing them at risk for lower back injuries. Specific product and case slots that were problematic, and they had them. And by the way, they're all Coca-Cola products. And on another one, July 18th, they had cheese slices, ice cream, milk bags, and buttermilk. That, right? Slots, you there? Same type of thing. All right. So what does OSHA, when they issue a general duty clause, they have to list what could be done. Reduce heights of palletized goods to below employee shoulder level, 48-inch, to promote lifting in the employee power zone. That is close to the body between mid-thigh and mid-chest height through working with product vendors and or utilizing powered industrial trucks, aka forklifts, with clamping attachment systems to break down pallets to a safer working height prior to stowing for selection. 2. Utilize pallet jack products with forks that can be raised up enough to minimize bending and biomechanical loading. Slot higher weight, faster moving items in a manner that provides access to at least 3 sides of the pallets to minimize bending, extended reaches of biomechanical loading. Raise the pallets off the floor with pallet risers or other mechanical devices to minimize bending. Provide lightweight, sturdy, portable step stools to selectors in order to allow selectors to be in a better biomechanical position. Work with vendors to provide hand-hold cutouts in cases for all heavier weight items. Administrative controls to reduce ergonomic risk factors. Again, administrative controls, rules in this case. For 1, prohibit the lifting of multiple cases of goods at one time for higher weight items. Permit the lifting of multiple cases at one time for lower weight cases where only justified through a validated ergonomic assessment tool. Reduce the duration of manual material handling tasks by workers in the dry good areas. Goes on and on. And then here you go. Develop and implement a formal written ergonomics program. $16,131. Citation 1, Item 2 for $11,524. Containers having a maximum water capacity of 2.5 pounds are permitted to be inside of buildings as approved self-contained hand torches assemblies or similar appliances. On or about, this is 1910-110, on or about on November 14, 2023, that time started in the freezer, janitorial staff used a 20-pound propane tank that was connected to the Burnsomatic blaze storage to melt off ice off the freezer floor. The tank exceeded the 2.5 pound maximum water capacity for a propane tank used with a torch assembly inside a building. So you're in luck here if you're listening or watching. I worked my way through college 3 summers working in a warehouse, Twin County Grocers. Company is still there, but it's a different owner. In Edison, New Jersey. So my brother was a Teamster warehouse worker there. I got in as summer help right there because that's when people take vacations and so like 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, a lot of stuff moving out of a warehouse. So one of the big issues that they have inside a warehouse, even a freezer warehouse, is condensation, especially in the summer, where you have cold air in the freezer hitting even if it's insulated, hitting the roof, and condensation forms. And you could actually have, depending on how high the ceiling is in the warehouse, you could actually have a weather system inside a warehouse. I've seen that in all different types of warehouses: refrigerated, freezers, non-frozen, regular warehouses. I've seen that. Now, what happens is that condensation has to go somewhere, it has to go on the floor, and slipping is a big hazard inside a warehouse. What we used to do was we would go in there and they would have to clear ice. They'd use summer help or a porter to clean out things, and they had ice melt all over the place. Occasionally, what they would have is like a Zamboni would be like a scarifier device to scarify if the ice got really thick, scarify it right off the floor, scrape it right off the floor. This company had a different way of handling it. And I'm sure that the employees liked this one was with melting water with a propane tank. If I had to guess, they're probably using the same size ones that you would use for a grill outside. And again, you just gotta say, you're adding a fire hazard inside a building with a bunch of cardboard boxes. Not a very good thing. Even in the late 80s, early 90s, according to my brother, he started working there in 83, there was no smoking inside that warehouse because of the boxes. They had all different other types of hazards there. Right? Believe me, they had all different types of hazards. But they did not have, but their main thing was this. Their main thing was fire from people smoking in there. Got caught smoking there, it was automatic dismissal. All right, now here we have 1910-176, where mechanical handling equipment is used. Sufficient safe clearances shall be allowed for aisles at loading docks, through doorways, and whatever turns of passage must be made. Aisle and passageways shall be kept clear and in good repair, with no obstruction across or in aisles that could create a hazard. Permanent aisles and passageways shall be appropriately marked. So here we have a blind spot inside a warehouse. On or about November 15, 2023, and at times prior, the employer did not ensure that powered industrial vehicle operators were provided safe lower clearances at the automated Rytec roll-up freezer door nearest the bun room. Opposing traffic was allowed to proceed through the automated roll-up door, which was a blind spot, in a manner that exposed drivers of pits to powered industrial trucks to the potential for head-on collisions and contacts. Pressure sensors installed in the travel path on the freezer interior were positioned and operated in a manner that allowed for powered industrial trucks to meet unexpectedly head-on with the door rolled up. Right? And under the power, and rolled up under the powered industrial truck operating condition allowed by the employer. Right? We have more. There is more. And this is a letter here. Did they put the whole accident report in here? Yes, they did. So this is what I want you to do. You gotta head on over to the OSHA website, OSHA.gov, under news releases. And this news release came out this week for a warehouse. And they have issued a whole bunch of information sheets on warehouse work. So what I'm going to suggest you do is go and download this, because I tell you what, this is a gem. All right, I'm downloading it now. On that. Great information there. U.S. Department of Labor investigation of worker amputation finds Ohio carpet manufacturer again ignored safety standards. So I don't know if we covered this at all. This is from June 23rd of last year. There was an accident. 3 repeat and 4 serious violations. And what do we got? So an employee apparently got an amputation. Right, so here we have 1910-132 type of violation, serious, citation 1, item 1. Protective equipment including PPE for eyes, face, head, and extremities. Protective clothing, etc. shall be provided. I mean, obtained. So, on or before 9/1/2023, the employer did not ensure that employees were utilizing protective equipment such as sleeves for the arms or barriers around drums. Going on and on and on. That was a PPE issue of 15,625. Citation 1, Item 2, lockout tagout. There we go, lockout tagout issues. At no documented inspection of the procedures, 15,625. Citation 1, Item 3, guards are missing on equipment. Here we have 15,625. Citation 1, Item 4, guards on sprockets and chains that are not 7 feet or above the floor or platform. 15,625. Citation 2, Item 1A, lockout tagout procedures, 85,938. So what do we got there? For 1910 147 C4I, little I, procedures shall be developed, documented, and utilized for the control of potentially hazardous energy, and are engaged in the activities covered by this section, such as shutting down, isolating, blocking, securing machines, specific procedural tasks for the placement, and going on and on. Now, reason why everybody had, that was 85,000, my opinion, reason why people have all these issues with lockout, tagout, is that they are by definition an administrative control, which is relying on a human being to do something. More lockout, tagout issues, repeat issues. And here is another one. Training for lockout, tagout. I did a training class last week for that, 85,938, for a grand total of $234,000. Now, yes, I am saving that. Now, so we have an administrative procedure here, and it's a rule. And as we know, rules are the least effective means of doing anything because people break rules, either purposefully or inadvertently, usually inadvertently. So that's a problem there. Okay, here we have it. I have to do a stop share because I have to go to a news story, not a public document. On this one, we have chat messages here. Is it OSHA? Oh, here we go. Is it OSHA food safe to look as good as you're looking? Well, thank you so much. So I don't know who this person is. So anyway, coming off of Twitch. Anyway. All right, that threw me off. I've never had one of those comments on here, at least not on the air. Let me be specific. Okay, here we have coming out of Lincoln, Nebraska, right? From the Lincoln Journal Star, a story by Trinity, I don't know who the story is by. If we find it in the story, we'll figure it out. But this is from, right, a federal judge has issued an order holding a Lincoln contractor in contempt of court for not complying with a subpoena from OSHA. The company, the owner who does business as a certain company, is facing fines of $100 a day and potential arrest if he does not comply with the subpoena by Friday. The U.S. District Court Judge Robert F. Rossiter Jr. also ordered ARPS to pay more than $5,900 in legal fees and costs incurred by OSHA. OSHA opened an investigation to the company and his company after one of his employees experienced a cardiac arrest on a job site on February 8th of last year. The employee, who was not wearing fall protection, fell off a duplex roof and sustained serious energy. The owner of the company, apparently, allegedly rebuffed several other OSHA attempts to work with him, and the agency issued a subpoena on February 27th. So that's, let's see, $100 a day from last February. That's what we call a boatload of money here. So OSHA ended up filing a lawsuit against this individual and the company. And this is a quote from OSHA Area Director Matt Thurlby. An employee of a certain company suffered serious injuries because his employer failed to protect him from falls. Now, let me say this much. Often, I'm not saying this happens here, but often what happens is, so for a personal medical issue, that cannot go. That does not necessarily have to go on an OSHA 300 log, or right? Doesn't necessarily. Depends. If the work that the person was doing caused a cardiac arrest, maybe not. Company has, and it's usually on the company what needs to go on there, with recommendations from someone like me or a medical consultant who's familiar with the law, and try to find one that's familiar with the recordability laws. And what happens is there's a little bit of a misunderstanding with some people. They feel that because it doesn't necessarily, it's a personal medical issue caused this problem, it ain't my issue, so the heck with everybody else. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I've seen this happen numerous times on projects where, well, hey, that's a personal medical issue. I don't have to do anything with it. Well, not really. All right. That's not necessarily true with that. So let's do a share screen here. Hopefully I won't knock it out. And I went back and did a little bit of research, and I found the original thing from here. Okay, here's the inspection detail from OSHA. Now, as I pointed out, this is all everyone's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. All right, and hold on. All right, so there were two violations, right? Back in, and this is from the latest thing from February of last year. So here we have two violations: initial violation of two, and current violation of two. Initial penalty of $9,376 and $9,376. Current penalty of that. Now I'm not seeing any. I don't know where we're at on this whole thing, but here are the things. Now, here we have initial penalty, current penalty, issuance date. So this, because the person did not allegedly respond, that's what it looks like to me. They kept the current penalty there. And what was this for was 29 CFR 1926 501B13. Each employee engaged in residential construction activities 6 feet or more above lower levels are not protected by guardrail systems, safety net systems, going on and on and on. And they, right now, here is the other one. Training requirements. $4,688 on that. And the employer did not have a training program, allegedly. Now, what's some of the other reasons why a company would not respond to an OSHA thing? They feel that, I'm not saying this is what happened here, but oftentimes people feel that if they respond, they're admitting guilt, let alone that they're unresponsive, and in effect, you are admitting guilt on them, but I'm not an attorney. And they don't want to, they feel that the OSHA fine is going to be less than what they're doing. Maybe with any litigation with this. Now, what often happens, and we have big issues with roofers all over the place. It's a focused industry. It's a targeted industry by OSHA. And what happens is because it's a targeted industry, we know a lot about it. What's the typical roofer? I'm not saying this happened here, but oftentimes what happens is they're day laborers. So if they're day laborers, are you going to give them training necessarily? Probably not. If they're day laborers, are you going to give them PPE? Probably not. If they're day laborers, do you really care about them? You're not no vested interest in them. Right, and of course, we do have companies out there that don't care about their employees. Believe me, I know what companies these are that I work with. I try to avoid them. All right, here we have that we covered that last night. I'm not going to do a repeat. And storm workers, right? Pardon me, hiccups here. Advisory Committee on Construction Safety and Health will meet on February 21st and 22nd in Washington. The meeting will include remarks from the Assistant Secretary for OSHA, Doug Parker, updates on the construction industry from the Directorate of Construction, a discussion about women in construction, and everything else. 3 work groups will meet on February 21st. The Emerging Technology Work Group from 9 to 11, the Work Zone Group from 12 to 2 going on. And the full committee and work group meetings are open to the public and will be held in room, and it goes on and on. Check it out. Now, I've always wanted to go there, but my schedule has not allowed it. There is a vacant position on the Federal Advisory Council on Occupational Safety and Health. And this is for the U.S. Department of Labor is seeking nominations to fill one labor representative position on the Federal Advisory Council on Occupational Safety. Right? Again, something that you may be interested in looking into. This is from the 18th. OSHA National Demolition Association Renew Alliance to Protect Safety and Health of Demolition Industry Workers, and it's a 5-year agreement here. I think we covered this the other day. They're looking. They have some focuses: predictable hazards on power plant demolition, signage or door hanger use when notifying residential communities that will be impacted by demolition work, podcasts, and everything else. Something to check out on demolition hazards. Now, often, and here's another one for you. Often what happens is companies feel that they don't have to comply with construction regulations because they're doing demolition. So let me read over the exact definition. All right, so how does OSHA define construction? Right, so this is from the construction industry webpage. Let's do a share page on here. All right, so here we have the construction industry. Construction, suicide prevention. Construction is a high hazard industry that comprises a wide range of activities involving construction, alteration, and repair. Construction workers engage in many activities that may expose them to serious hazards, such as falling from rooftops, unguarded machinery, heavy construction equipment, electrocution, silica dust, and asbestos. All right? And this is everything with this, right? So let's go back. Okay, here we go. It's good to revisit. And we were in the 1910.12 standard. Construction work means, that's 1910.12b. Construction work means work for construction, I love it when they use the same word. Alteration and or repair, including painting and decorating. See the discussion of these terms in 1926.13 of the title. So anything, right, construction work. It's important to define what construction work is because then you figure out whether you're in the 1910 or 1926. So let's go over to 1910, right? 1926.13. Standard 9 number 1926.13. The terms construction, alteration, and repair used in Section 104 of the Act are also used in Section 1 of the Davis-Bacon Act, providing minimum wage protection. Similarly, the terms contractor and going on. And minimum wage, subcontractors, right? On that. All right, so some discussion on that. And here, some general safety and health provisions. So here's another one. Accident prevention responsibilities. It shall be the responsibility of the employer to initiate and maintain such programs as may be necessary to comply with this part. So if you're a construction company, you gotta have stuff. Here we have one for a competent person. Such programs shall provide for frequent and regular inspections of the job sites, materials, and equipment to be made by competent persons designated. Those have to be in writing, right? Or now. All right. And compliance duties, PPE, they have to have training, right? All that stuff. And they have to have safety training and education, record keeping, fire, all this stuff goes in there. 1926-16. Gets even to the contractual arrangements between contractor and subcontractor. So let's go in. We'll make this easy. Google it. Okay, 1926.32. All right, construction work. Here we go. Competent person. You have to have competent persons. Means one who is capable of identifying existing and predictable hazards in its surroundings or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous, or dangerous to employees, and who has the authorization to take prompt corrective measures. So, right, for the purposes of this section, construction work means construction, alteration, and or repair, including painting and decorating. Now we have here our standard interpretations here for that. So, whether handling stones for foundation work is considered a construction activity, this is from 2016. So, a person wrote into OSHA, and going on. Your company delivers granite and marble monuments to grave sites, and most of these monuments are headstones and markers that consist of one piece. You're also clarifying you're only requesting guidance with respect to headstones and other small monuments weighing between the 100 and 1,700 pounds. You note, however, that even some of these small monuments can consist of several pieces, going on, and everything else. Right? You describe several related worksite scenarios, and that's so should determine if they are considered construction work activities. So here you have work in a cemetery, and they're setting monuments in. So here we have when a crane is used to move headstones and other small monuments from a truck bed to a particular foundation at designated grave sites, is that a construction activity? Generally, no. Pouring or installing the concrete foundation pad at the gravesite creates a new structure and would be typically considered construction work, which is defined Right, blah, blah, blah. We just did that. Simply moving a completed monument from the bed of the truck to the ground would generally not be considered construction if it is done so without facilitating any alteration or improvement to the pad or monument following its placement on the pad. Such work uh, would not be considered construction because the monument would not need to be connected to another newly constructed or then modified structure or system. In contrast, construction work would typically include hoisting and positioning of a completed monument onto or within the formwork, right, on the ground as the foundation is being constructed, a completed monument to where it would otherwise be joined or connected to another structure, so or several pieces of monument. So you pick up a gravestone, you put it on the ground, on that nice concrete slab, right? Not construction work. If you're assembling it, different story. Or if you're working on that concrete foundation, that is, or slab, that is considered construction work. Da, 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 da. All right. So, question 3: will a crane with over a capacity of 2,000 pounds be subject only to the limited requirements of 1926-1441? No. All right. Instead of the entire crane standard. No, OSHA considers it a safety issue when employers opt to derate cranes simply to avail themselves of the reduced requirements in 1926-1441, instead of complying with the entire crane standard. Right now, this might have been updated since then, but this is as of 24. As of then. So again, what's construction work? And very important. Here's another one from 2003, 1926.32. OSHA requirements if I stand, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. When they're classifying steel tanks and structural steel supports as plant equipment or plant structure, alters categorizing their removal as maintenance or construction. How specific factors determine whether the removal and installation of steel tanks and structural steel supports will be considered distinguishing construction from maintenance. What requirements apply to removal and installation of steel trap, right? So do the following factors bear on whether work will be considered maintenance or construction? A, the physical condition of the equipment structure being worked on, whether it may be reused or if deterioration will require its removal. Replacement was performed to supplant deteriorated sections rather than to prevent current parts from reaching a state of failure. The physical characteristics and everything else. OSHA's regulation requires what construction work is. Unlike construction work, there's no regulatory definition for maintenance. Repair or refurbishment maintenance activities have commonly defined in dictionaries as making or keeping structure, fixture, or foundation in proper condition in a routine, scheduled, and everything else. So, construction work is not limited to new construction, but it can include the repair of existing facilities. And going on and on. So, maybe yes, maybe no. But I tell you what, I would classify that as construction. By the way, if it's a steel structure, it's going to be painted. So, therefore, the painting is construction. Now, the other thing is this a tank is going to be cleaned out, a steel tank. That is most likely maintenance. All right, so you're cleaning it out for an inspection. That's maintenance. How do you clean it out? You pump out the material in there, and you may give what is called commonly called a brush blast or an inspection blast, the sandblasting. So what ends up happening is you're moving the sandblasting equipment very quickly. Right, you could do the inspection. You figure out the tank has to be repaired. Now you're going to brace the blast. I said sandblast. I know we're not allowed to say that anymore. And now it's going to be much slower. Same activity as a maintenance situation as the inspection, but one is general industry, one is part of construction. Are you confused yet? So again, all this stuff goes in there. I don't know how we got here. with this. Okay, we're going to go to another commercial break. And here's Jessica. All right. Let's see some other news out there in safety, right? Now,